Hello everybody! In this video today, we are just doing a little speed draw. We are doing a speed draw of my next installment of the Puppettes comic, and this one is about Zhuzhu. And this one was pretty fun, but I just wanted to kind of quickly go through my process. I already did one video like this showing how I achieved this like vintage look for the comics. That video goes more in depth on how I do it and the techniques that I use and the brushes that I use and the layers and everything that I use. So if you're looking into how I achieve that, you can check out that video. I'll put it in the card up there and you can check that out. But this one's kind of like a speed draw of just me working through it, doing the cover and the actual comic and everything. On the side here, you see a bunch of the previous cover pages. My goal was to get all of the Puppettes introductions done by Christmas so that I could put out a small little compilation zine of all of them, but I'm falling a little behind. But it is still in the works. It just means it won't come out for Christmas. It'll come out a little bit after, but it is definitely still being planned for sure. I think I have 3 girls left. No, we have more. Scotty, Chi-Chi, Coco, Pom Pom, and Momo. So we're a little over halfway done. This is my perpetual curse with the Puppettes. I think I've mentioned it in videos before, but this is like the thing that forever, I was gonna say haunts me, but it doesn't really haunt me necessarily. It's just something that I didn't really think about when I was creating them, because like I've said in like many other videos, when I made the Puppettes, they were not made with the intention of becoming like a big thing, like the thing that they are now. I wasn't planning on making it almost like a brand, like having their own characters and all of this type of stuff. The thing that's simultaneously great and also a pain in the ass is that there's 11 girls. The great thing is there's 11 girls, so it's so fun always to see which Puppet people are naturally drawn to. Everybody ends up having a favorite. They immediately, or a lot of the times, pick out like 1 or 2 that they're like, who is this? This one's my favorite. I love this one. I stan this one. And it also allowed me to explore a bunch of different body types and personalities and all of this type of stuff. That's so fun, and I love that part. But the pain in the ass part is the fact that there are 11 girls. So when it comes to merchandise, like making things, all of that type of stuff, there's 11 of them. And I run into this issue all the time with making products. Is it becomes so expensive so quickly because I have to make multiple of the same girl, right? And then there are 11 of them, so a lot of the times companies either don't want to make such minimum quantities for so many things, or it becomes really expensive. Basically, it just becomes crazy when I have to do all of the characters for something, you know, instead of just focusing on one character. That's been my perpetual like thing that I'm happy that I did, and also kicking myself that I did. You know what I mean? I always think about how if I had a butt ton of money, I could make all different types of merch. There's like all of these different things that I would want to make with the Puppettes. I'd want to make clothes and perfume and blind boxes, obviously, and dolls and all that type of stuff. But then I'm like, wait, I have to make 11 of them. So then I would need like 100 of each. So then it becomes like really, the scope becomes huge. And so then I'm like, oh, how could I make like 11 different perfumes? So then I have to think about what like K-pop groups do sometimes, where they break the K-pop groups down into like subgroups. So now I'm trying to play around with the concept of subgroups with the Puppettes and like trying to figure out what girls would be in what subgroups. And I'm playing around with the idea of making merch where it's like you release in subgroups, if that makes sense. So like the first batch is like 3 girls, and then the next batch is like 4 girls, or whatever it is. So that's kind of my plan. But for now, we're just working through the comic. I have something else kind of in the works right now, very, 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 very early, but I'm hoping that things pan out, and I'm excited about it, but I'm also really scared, but we'll see how that works. I just don't want to talk too much about it yet because I have a habit of coming on here and being like, oh, I'm doing this new thing, and then it falls through, and then I feel like I disappoint everybody over and over again, and I just like don't want to keep doing that until I have more solidified things in place, if that makes sense. So I'm sorry that I keep like teasing things, but I appreciate how many of you are so amazingly loyal to the Puppettes with just like the littlest scrap amount of content that I drip feed you guys. And I have so many followers who just love the Puppettes and are like just very happily, patiently waiting and are like, yeah, we're here whenever you want to do things. And I'm like, wow, thanks guys. I really appreciate that you like my stuff, even when I give you like crumbs of Puppettes content. I promise I'm trying to make it into a bigger thing. I'm trying to make stuff that like you guys can really take in and consume. It just, you know, it's hard when it's really like one person, two people, but I don't know, we're getting through it, you know? We're getting through it. So I'm perpetually grateful, so grateful that so many of you are still willing to come with me on this journey, and you haven't just been like, oh my gosh, she's so annoying because she takes forever to actually do any of the stuff that she says she wants to do. So again, thank you so much for continuing with me on this long-winded Puppettes journey. My goal is really to make it into something big. I really want to. So I appreciate any and all people who follow along and are willing to help me in any way that you can, whether it's just enjoying the content I put out or the people who help me by purchasing merch and all of that type of stuff, especially with how expensive the world is right now. I'm so insanely grateful for everybody who continues to buy things from me, from my store, who are part of my sticker club, all of that type of stuff. It really means a lot. I genuinely appreciate it. Anyway, that's my like giant ramble. I can talk a little bit about my process here. I always start with plotting out my panels. I always try to keep it to one page because I wanted it to just be very easy to kind of consume, I guess. I didn't want it to be like multiple pages, at least not yet. Then I learned that I should block out where the text and the speech bubbles go, and then I kind of loosely scribble in shapes and where everybody is going to be in the panel. And then once I'm happy with my first pass, I go through a second pass and refine my sketches so I kind of know a little bit more where I'm supposed to go with my line work. Then once I do that, I go in with my line art and then my color. I think I said this in the other YouTube video I made about making the Puppettes comic, but my friend Carrie helps me write, and she's the primary writer for this, and we kind of bounce back and forth, and I edit and, you know, change lines. We collaborate on writing, I should say. But she is the one who gives me the scripts out the gate. And also recently she's been helping me with layout because she has her own comic called Kamikaze. So she has way more of an understanding of writing for comics than I do. So a lot of the times, especially if I'm struggling with something, I will ask for her advice on panel layout or speech bubble layout. And sometimes she also, in the script, will give me notes on how the speech bubbles should be laid out. For this one specifically, she suggested, when we told the story of Zhuzhu as a young child, that we did the panels in black and white. And then when she comes across the piece of art, it's kind of like blowing away the black and white and turning into color. So that's what I tried to do with this comic specifically, but to show that the color is kind of blowing away the black and white. I did it with a lot of screen tones. I'm not trying to make this completely 100% accurate to how vintage comics were made, but I wanted it to still have that feel. So I work with a lot more screen tones and layers and colors than I think comics had in the 50s and 60s. And obviously I'm doing it all digitally, which they did not have. So that's like the big cheat. But that's okay, because I'm not trying to authentically replicate. I'm just more so trying to evoke the feeling. But that means working within some sort of limitations. And for me, my limitations in this are a very strict color palette, meaning I made a color palette specifically for these comics, and I only ever really pick colors from that color palette, and I don't stray off of that color palette. If I need a specific color that is not in my color palette, I'll try my best to mix colors through layering screen tones, like what they would do in the 50s and 60s. They would layer colors on top of each other to get different ones. I also tried to stick with completely black line art and no colored line art at all, as well as keeping my coloring a little loose and my backgrounds a little less detailed, because vintage comics around that time, when they were printed, you know, they would go off register sometimes. The printing wouldn't be perfectly within the line, so you'd get a lot of bleeds and stuff like that. So I think it's okay to be a little messy, because when you're a little messy and you have colors bleeding over the black line art, it kind of looks like the art got printed off register slightly, and I don't know, I think it emulates that old comic feel. Another thing that helps a lot with the vintage feel is a lot of layering and working with layer styles, and also putting a bunch of different types of paper textures and all of that type of stuff on top. And I do that at the end, and I think that that's really, really important, but I go way more in depth on that in my previous video. I'm not going to really touch on it in this one, just because I talk about all of the steps that I take in the previous video. So if that's something that you are interested in, go watch that video. that's about it for this, so let's jump into the final results and see how the finished comic looks. That is about it for this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the comic, and as always, drop a comment down below and tell me which puppet is your favorite and if Zhuzhu is your girl. Let me know if you're excited about any of the other girls and or about a physical copy of all of these introduction comics. Also, a small quick little note. I have heard you guys multiple times ask about the burlesques. I promise I will have something about them coming. I am still kind of working on how they're involved in the story because it kind of keeps changing. But I promise I will give you more information about the burlesques eventually. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and go take a nap because you're probably tired. And naps are always great. Okay, bye.